and foremost, Happy New Year to everyone. It is January 1st, 2025. So I think that, everybody should know that, I am alive and well. I'm here at the office in Linden, Kentucky. And I decided a few days ago to sort of catch up on comments and what I had been doing. And I'm going to come full transparency here. The only way I know how to do it. I've been having YouTube channels probably since 2008. I often will answer comments daily, sometimes every other day, something like that. It never goes more than a week. But what I was doing was I was only answering new comments. And and again, this is on me and I apologize, but so there's a new comment, you answer that comment, and then it goes away. But there's also answering to new replies. And that is where I dropped the ball with the Sight Sounds Flavors YouTube channel because there were like literally, it took me 2 weeks answering between 100 to 250 new replies to comments per day. It took me 2 weeks to answer all of y'all. And a lot of the videos that had just a truckload of comments were videos on this moron, Darrell Brooks Jr. So I have tried to answer all of them. I also took screenshots of a lot of different comments that I thought were very interesting because I've done a lot of videos on this character and this trial. And, to date, you got the Wade Wilson trial, the Alex Murdaugh trial, now the Luigi Mangione trial. But the Darrell Brooks Jr. trial continues to be probably the most outrageous trial of all because of the fact that in the Mangione case, the Alex Murdaugh case, the Wade Wilson case, first of all, in none of those cases did the defendants testify. But even if they had, I don't think the judge would have allowed, them to get away with what Judge Jorah allowed Darrell Brooks Jr. to get away with. And a lot of people, over the years have been very critical of me for giving her a 97, which is crazy because a 97 is a phenomenal score. But a lot of people believe she should have gotten 100. Now, I will say one thing though, in looking over the comments, because a lot of these videos go back 2 to 3 years, is that a lot of people gave her a lot less than a 97. Some people gave her a 60, a 50. A lot of people said, how could the judge allow him to do what he did, to speak to the victims the way that he did, even though he was representing himself? And he has a right to do that. In this country, you have a right to defend yourself. If you don't want to have an attorney and you want to be your own attorney, you have a fool as a client. But if you want to do that, you can. But he was almost like reopening the wounds and he was pouring salt on them and he was being very, very insensitive and he was being very, very rude and crass. And a lot of times that was allowed. He also got into yelling matches with the judge. And honestly, like I have not looked at this trial in a long time because I just didn't want to. In fact, if you go back in time, you'll notice that I actually stopped talking about this trial and I started the Everything Else channel, which was going to be the channel where I talked about this trial and the other trials and other stuff because Sight Sounds Flavors was supposed to be a tourism channel, and it's never really been just a tourism channel. It's had a lot of other factors and a lot of other components. But um, in any event, I'm in the process of answering these comments. I'm also in the process of doing more live chats. When you start a new year, you have these great expectations, and it's like a lot of people will join a gym on January 1st, and they go January 2nd, January 3rd, January 10th, January 20th, and by February they're done. And that's how a lot of these gyms make their money because people will go in, they'll sign up for a year membership and pay in full. The gym associate is happy because they're getting a huge commission. The gym is happy because they're getting a quick hit of cash. And the New Year's resolution person is happy because they feel like they're well on their way to reaching their fitness goals. The problem is that it's a gimmick. Every year this happens. And so I don't want to come on here and say, hey, I'm going to start doing a live every day because that's just not realistic. But what I am going to do is I'm going to try to do a live once a week on the various channels that I have. I've got Sight Sounds Flavors. I've got Everything Else channel. I've got Truth TV. I've got Truth TV. All you got to do is hit Truth, TROOF TV.com, and it'll take you to the Truth TV channel. There's a lot of trials out there that are, quite frankly, very interesting, and we don't really know where they're going to go. A lot of people, with to compare and contrast. I mean, the Darrell Brooks Jr. trial, the Alex Murdaugh trial, the Wade Wilson trial. All these people were guilty as sin. Some had legal dream teams, and others defended themselves, and others had, public attenders, public defenders. But in the Luigi Mangione case, we're seeing like a cult following throughout the United States. A lot of people really identify with him, and they want to see him get exonerated, even though, look, I mean, maybe the cop that approached him at McDonald's didn't Mirandize him first. Maybe there was like some statements that they can challenge. Maybe they can challenge the search of the backpack. I mean, but in the end, I mean, this is the guy that did this, and so many people are looking to him as being some sort of an activist. He's not an activist. He's a murderer. I mean, like, this is there's no. I mean, this is not like, Bob Dylan singing, blowing in the wind. This is a guy that went out and committed cold-blooded murder, but you've got a lot of people that want to see him get acquitted, that want to pin a badge of honor on him, that want to send him money. Do you know how much money Luigi Mangione's legal defense has probably raked in? I mean, this guy's getting money from every conceivable type of individual, from groupies to social justice warriors to musicians and celebrities, because they like what he did. And how, I mean, how messed up is that? How could you like what this guy did? And the thing is like I said, it comes from every walk of life. It's not just like the crazy groupies that a lot of these serial killers have, that they've always had. Manson had them, Ramirez had them. I don't know that John Wayne Gacy had them, but I know that, the Night Stalker had him. Ted Bundy had him. I mean, Ted Bundy killed like 40 people, and he had a entourage of women that were, enamored by him. The good looking guy, law student. Bundy defended himself to the point that the judge in his Miami hearing said that it was a shame that he went down the path that he did, because he would have loved having him practice in front of him. The judge was saying he would have made a fine attorney. You know what I mean? And but so that is a huge departure from Darrell Brooks Jr. No judge would say that they would want Darrell Brooks Jr. to practice in front of them with all that sovereign citizen mumbo jumbo, taking his shirt off, yelling at the judge, hiding behind a fortress of file boxes. But it's interesting. But to be real though, there's a tremendous amount of interest in this moron, and I have a lot of videos on the Sight Sound Servers YouTube channel that have received hundreds, if not thousands, of comments each. And so, as a content creator, I mean, I can't walk away from that. And I just want to send a huge message to all of my subscribers that I did not walk away from you guys in the past. It's just that I was not. When you're a content creator, you have three options. You've got new comments, responded comments, and comments with new replies. I was looking at responded, I was looking at new comments. I was not looking at at comments with new replies. And it was there that there were, like, literally, I'm telling you, I was doing 100 to 250 replies per day for 2 solid weeks. I mean, this thing would refresh and refresh and refresh, and I never thought I'd get to the bottom, but I did. So, I really appreciate it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Listen, having, your comment answered after 2 years is not good. It's not. And so I'm not going to come on here and pretend like it is. It's not. But I have been pleasantly surprised that a good few that I have commented to, and that I've said, listen, please come back, please subscribe. They've written me back and said, we never unsubscribed, and we've been here the whole time. So that makes me feel really good, but it makes me feel really bad at the same time, because nobody should wait 2 freaking years to get a response to their comment, and you never will again, because I will be on top of the comments. I will promise you to do at least one live per week. And we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about here at the Sight Sound Slivers YouTube channel. I'm also looking to get back into traveling a little bit. I want to get back to southeastern Kentucky, which will happen in January of this year. And I also would like to go to the Northwest United States, which I've never been to. Precisely, I would say Washington State and Oregon. I've been really wanting to go there for a long, long time. And internationally, I'm thinking um, Mexico or Colombia, maybe Ireland. Um, I don't know. Those are the three countries I'm looking at the most. But to be honest, I'm not going to shy away from any topic. And I know there's a tremendous amount of interest in Darrell Brooks Jr. and that trial. There's also a lot of interest in the Luigi Mangione trial. And believe it or not, there's a lot of interest in the Alex Murdaugh trial, even though he's been found guilty, even though he was denied an appeal, even though that clerk was really up to no good and wrote a book and did all sorts of things wrong. They still didn't give an appeal, which is really crazy. Harpootlian, his lawyer, was absolutely shocked by that. But in any event, that trial has also generated a lot of interest. A lot of people want to get back into talking about the Alex Murdaugh trial. He never admitted it, even though it's apparent that he did this. But whether he did it or he didn't do it, does he deserve an appeal? That's a very good question, because if you have a clerk that is contaminating the jury, that's a problem. That's a real problem. And that's not something that you can just say, "Oh, that's not a big deal. It's immaterial. It's inconsequential." No, that's a real problem. So right now, even though they don't want to give him an appeal, it's looking like I think at some point they're going to have to, because they can't say that it's immaterial. They can't say that this clerk talking to the jurors, and let me tell you something. When it comes to the Low Country in South Carolina, I mean, this case was like the talk of the town at the Piggly Wiggly, at the post office, at the local parks. Everybody was talking about this case, and there was a big talk about why they didn't move this to another county to get a more impartial jury. There are so many things at play with the Alex Murdaugh trial that, unlike the Darrell Brooks Jr. trial, unlike the Wade Wilson trial, I could potentially see him getting an appeal. Now, does that mean that he's going to walk out of there? Absolutely not, because then you have the financial crimes, which I also think the financial crimes really should not have been talked about as much as they were in the criminal trial. I mean, obviously, the criminal trial, the financial case was criminal, but when I mean criminal, I don't think that they should have talked so much about the financial crimes in the murder trial, because I think that they were using that to really like destroy his image in front of the jury. And let me tell you something: Alex Murdaugh stole from the son of his housekeeper, who tripped and fell on the stairs and died. I mean, this guy's a heartless human being. He stole from people that were involved in the worst kinds of accident cases. He stole from young, old, tall, short, men, women, child. He stole from everybody, but I don't know that that really had anything to do with the murders. You know what I mean? I feel like that was should have been kept separate, but they didn't do that. And then you had like this clerk who it very much sounds like was talking to the jury when she shouldn't have been, and putting ideas in their head when she shouldn't have been doing, and his conviction stands. So that doesn't like quite sound kosher to me, even though he's guilty, because listen, the end result is he's guilty, but how you got to that conviction does matter. The devil's in the details, as they say. And we have rights in this country, and just because you're a murderer does not mean you don't have access to those rights. Now, when people come back and say, "Oh, excuse me," when people come back and say, Darrell Brooks Jr. didn't have a fair trial, that's ridiculous. He had more than a fair trial. But when you look at what the clerk potentially did in the Alex Murdaugh trial, did he really have a fair trial? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Even though he's guilty of sin, it doesn't matter, because they got to the verdict potentially with, a clerk that was, contaminating the jury. So, in any event, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of hearings. There's also Leanna Perry. A lot of people, want to talk about Leanna Perry. They can't get over that. It's the lady that attacked a fellow passenger on a plane there, and dragged her down and just went nuts on her. And then of course the Karens, the spirit Karens. And that's a video that I took at Fort Lauderdale Airport, February 2024, and it generated probably well over I don't know, like 60 million views. I mean, I had friends in Australia, friends in Europe, friends in Canada that were saying that they recognized my voice and they saw my clip. And and then just here on YouTube, the shorts got, I think, like 6 million views just on YouTube. On TikTok, Sight Sounds Flavors, if you don't believe me, go on over to TikTok, Sight Sounds Flavors. It's got, I think, like 17 million views. So again, that's just two platforms. I mean, this went on Fox News, ABC, CBS. It went all over the world. It went viral. And I don't know what happened to the Spirit Karen, and I don't know what happened to well, they were both Karens, but I don't know what happened to the Spirit employee, and I don't know what happened to the Spirit passenger, but they were both very much Karens, and they both very much went viral. And there's a lot of talk about that as well. So, in closing, guys, I just wanted to come back, touch base with you guys. I want to wish you a happy new year, happy 2026. And I really want to get back into the swing of things here at the Sight Sounds Flavors YouTube channel. Be sure to also log on to sightsoundsflavors.com. It's a website, it's a blog. Got a lot of cool things on music and on travel. And I'm gonna get like more into this. So far I think we've had like maybe like 20, 30 people that have come through. No comments, no super likes or whatever, no anything. But listen, you got to come back. You got to, like, pay your dues. You got to cut your teeth, so to speak. And I'm going to be doing that and then some, because it's been way too long, and I am not going to disappear again. So happy New Year! Thanks for stopping by. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Drop a super like if you'd like, so that I can get a haircut. And I'll see you soon. Peace.